New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
Hi, and welcome to the Cosmic Prayer. I am so excited to be here today. My name is Laura Topper, and today's show coming live from the UK, and of course streaming and broadcast from New Thought Media Network, this incredible focus ministry doing so many amazing things, bringing so many programs and broadcasts and conversations and teachings to you on a daily basis. Today on the Cosmic Prayer, our guest is somebody who is just so dear to my heart as a colleague and a friend and somebody that I have known for the past couple of years. And his work is immense in the Center for Spiritual Living community. As a practitioner, Gregory Coyle, he started his spiritual journey early in life, inspired by his parents' devotion and faith and integrity. That's amazing. Greg has been a licensed practitioner with Centers for Spiritual Living since 2005 and has been living in Oslo, Norway since 2004. He offers his private coaching and mentoring sessions, and he lectures and he speaks, and he travels globally to do this as well. And he offers individual group group meditations and courses. And Greg also is a Hatha yoga yogi, an instructor, and has been teaching Hatha yoga since 2001. So Greg brings his spirit, his joy, and definitely his love into his practice and his teachings as a practitioner and as a wonderful human being. Welcome, Greg, to the Cosmic Prayer. So great to be with you here today.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me, Laura.
Oh, and you are in Oslo at the moment. So this is
Correct.
Just beautiful.
I'm from Oslo, Norway.
And how long, were you born in Oslo, Greg?
No, I was born in the United States. I was born in Tucson, Arizona. But I've been in Oslo since 2004. So It's been 18 years, so it's been a while.
Amazing. And I know that you were part of the Agape community with Dr. Reverend Michael Beckwith, and that's where you gained your spiritual practitioner license at Agape, same as Diego being at Agape. We just had a great conversation about that here. I'm really interested what actually led you to Agape.
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. So I guess if we start at the beginning, I was raised Catholic. My parents are still practicing Catholics. But I think at some point, even as a youth, I just I loved. There was something about the spirituality of it and the seriousness of it, and going to church and having something important You know, it wasn't just face value. My father really valued us going. It was important for him. And so mom sang the choir and, you know, everything from altar boys. My brothers and I were altar boys and we participated as we could. But there was just something, I guess for me, there's something lacking, if you will. You know, I could read what you know, the message, and I understood what the priest said, and I could actually, you know, I guess follow along with the, you know, what was repeated at service. But at some point I was thinking, yeah, but it seems like there's something more, there's something deeper. It's like, why are we going through the guy sitting next to me to access God, if you will? There's something not making sense to me here. And even as a kid, I just thought, this does not compute. So later on, you know, it wasn't really, you know, after at some point as becoming a young adult, I decided this isn't for me, but I need to find my own spiritual path and practice. And I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I started a Metropolitan Community Church, MCC, which is a little bit more broader up, accepting. But again, what I found is a very open, accepting community, but it was still within the Christian-based and limited in trying to kind of, my interpretation at least was that it was trying to explain or give a reason why something was right or wrong within the Christian-based philosophy. And I just felt like that it was, again, it wasn't jiving for me. I was open to something broader and deeper, a deeper connection, a deeper understanding. And so I kept searching, and then I met some friends, and we talked about agape, and then we went, and I think I was after just probably the first Sunday getting there and welcomed. And if you've never been to agape, it's a very special welcome that you receive when you come. I'm certainly before Corona, when it was live and there were thousands of people there, and just, you know, amazing service, amazing choir, beautiful, just, yeah, being greeted from the beginning when you walked in the door to being seated and being welcomed. And, you know, I thought, I'm home. This is what I've been looking for. As you mentioned, I did take classes there. I was taking classes there for about 2 to 3 years. And then after that, I continued the science of mind or CSL related studies when I moved to San Francisco. So I was living in the Bay Area. In San Francisco, it's no longer there, but it was Ashbury Heights CSL. And I was a member of a smaller community. It wasn't agape, but it was still a beautiful, small community and wonderful members. And that's where I completed my practitioner training. And that was in 2000.
Oh, wow.
It's 2005, because I left in 2004 and I finished my last year remotely. And that was probably, I feel like I was one of these pioneers doing these online remote trainings. This is before, you know, Zoom and everything else. We had Skype, and you know, I wasn't the only one.
Oh, yes.
But yeah. But it worked, and, you know, it was, you know, we made it happen. And so I think that, you know, now today, I think how wonderful it is that more and more people you don't have to physically be there. So it's opened up the world. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I love everything you're saying and hearing your story, and how that piece, you know, that I read out originally about your parents and you being inspired by your parents' devotion. And what just comes through for me is that inspiration for their devotion has allowed you to be to express that in your own way, to find your own devotional practice in the many ways that you do. And I'm interested in how because all right, 2 questions. First of all, were you in the agape choir? Because if you were singing in your regular, you know, as a child in church, did you kind of transfer that into the agape choir?
I did not sing
I'd like
in the
to
choir,
see you
no.
on video. Oh. And how that must have been, how did you view that? What happened for you as you were growing up, and then, you know, being in that Catholic religion, and then agape, where you're discovering a whole new way to connect and commune, not having to have that person as the intermediary. How did that feel for you?
It was, I guess you could say enlightening. When we learn how to pray as children, if you start early enough, you usually memorize some words, and again, parents or grandparents or the church, you start to pray. You repeat the words. You may not know what it means, and eventually you may learn what the meaning is, but you don't necessarily. It depends, I think, on the family and kind of the tradition, but. I did prayer, and it was kind of the question like, okay, I'm saying this, but is something magic supposed to happen? And am I waiting for something to happen? It was kind of going back to what we call praying to the beseeching God, asking for something in return. I've been good, so I hope that you can reward me with good grades at school, or I want a better Christmas present, or whatever it was as a child. And then, of course, as you get older, and then you're asking perhaps for other things. It may be for, good health for a loved one or whatever. And then coming into the science of mind practice, religious science, and actually having a little bit more of looking at prayer as an actual process, and there's a scientific reason that it's set together in a certain way. And of course, you will see people that will move it around the parts, but if you understand that there's the 5 parts and what it's about, and really getting into the meaning and the depth of, okay, there's a reason why we take it through these 5 steps, and then, of course, you start practicing that, and it may be that, again, you just kind of are struggling with the words, and you're trying to remember the 5 steps. I know this when I've dealt with new students and everything else, and they're trying to get through the prayer, and it's like, just breathe and you speak it, and eventually, when you feel comfortable with the words, then the magic starts to happen, if you will, where you really get it. It becomes from here, cerebral, down to here, and it becomes that heartfelt, and you really are speaking with your heart, and then the words aren't as important anymore, because it's really this energy that you're sending out and to the universe.
Yes, it becomes the feeling.
Yes, the feeling linked with the belief behind it, that that this has already happened, that this is just something that's showing up in your life, something to be grateful for.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. So Bonnie is here. I know Bonnie is here, and I know Diego had put a wonderful message up saying that he about the agape welcome, because obviously you've both experienced that. I've never experienced that, and I'm waiting to experience that. And Bonnie, hi Bonnie, and welcome to everybody that's listening right now on whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. You're here on New Thought Media Network with the Cosmic Prayer. Today we have the amazing Gregory Coyle, licensed practitioner, and Bonnie is also from California and a licensed practitioner. And Bonnie had a question for you, Greg, which I think I'd like to just address that because it came up quite earlier on. Oh, thank you, Diego, for putting up Greg's website. Bonnie's question was, I'm just going to get it here. Question for you, Greg, how do you now connect your spiritual practice with your yoga practice? Because we kind of skipped a little bit here, but not really. Thank you, Bonnie, for tying this in, because you are a yogi and a hatha yoga instructor and teacher, and you give individual and group classes. So what led you to that? Let's start with that and then move on to Bonnie's question of how you link your spiritual practice with yoga.
We have to turn back the wheel of time again as we go back. Yeah.
I'm interested in you, Greg.
Yeah, thank you. All right, that's good. That's exciting. Yeah. So with yoga, I grew up with sports and activities. Very active family. I have 3 brothers, so our parents had us in all kinds of activities to keep us busy, and also the opportunity. I really am grateful to my parents, my mom especially, that she put us into a lot of stuff for us to experience it and to perhaps find something that we were good at or that we liked. I know so many friends and even here people that they perhaps only played the popular sport at school and they probably hated it, but all their friends did it, but we had a chance to do a variety of ththings. And I guess as a teenager, an early teen, at some point, mom came to me after swim practice, and she said, "Hey, there's a yoga class, and I'm going to sign up for it. Do you want to do it?" I said, "Sure." It sounded interesting, so we signed up and did yoga for 6 months, one night a week. And I don't remember much about that. I remember a few poses. I enjoyed doing it. This was also kind of more like 1980s yoga. So it wasn't very different than what it is today. I think I was the only man, at that point, a young, kid, but a teenager, man in the class. Everyone else was women, and it was much more of a relaxing type yoga. But enjoyed it. It was relaxing, and I had a little snooze, and I thought, this is great. But then we did something else, and I kind of put it on the back burner. Move fast forward, and I'm in Los Angeles, and about the same time I was also exploring and looking into the spiritual practice. I had the opportunity to get back into yoga again through the gym, and then the teachers at the gym had their own studio, became active with them, and then eventually after about 5 years practicing with them, I had an opportunity that they started offering teacher training. And so I did that, and they started instructing myself. I guess one of the things you look at is like whether it's science of mind or spiritual practice or yoga or whatever else, we're always students. Wherever you are, you're always a student. So even though I teach, I am still a student, and I'm learning constantly, whether it's from other teachers or from the students themselves, and in that I'm instructing them. So it's quite, thank you, Bonnie. Hats off to my mom.
Yeah, your mother.
Yeah. So back to the yoga. I became an instructor there, and I would say that to kind of the short answer would be, how do the yoga and the spiritual practice? And I would say that they are, you have this beautiful connection. Now, many people will try yoga, and the initial experience people will have of yoga is the physical aspect of, mostly it's hatha yoga. Sometimes you might try something like Kundalini, which is a little bit more on the spiritual side and more chanting, which is and also very different and beautiful practice. But most people start with a hatha yoga class, perhaps at the gym, and it's stretching, it's moving, it's breathing, and so the initial is on a physical level because they're thinking about, what do I need to do when I'm tight? And then I have to remember to breathe. And, initially with the students, that's what the practice is. But I'm very clear in terms of, when I teach, that there is absolutely, these are spiritual beings having a human experience, that this is a spiritual practice. And so in Los Angeles, there is this beautiful link between me studying yoga and becoming a teacher, and me studying. My camera seems to have gotten stuck. I will stop.
Yes,
and then restart.
It's okay though, because we can still hear you. So I'm sure
okay.
it will unstick itself, because you're coming across very clearly, loud and clear.
All right, so I'll keep talking then.
You keep going, Greg, because it will right itself.
Perfect. So I've always seen it as a really beautiful combination, and it was a seamless combination, if you will. That what I was studying at Agape was the same stuff I was studying through the Anyasara school. And kind of again about the yoga, there's many schools of yoga, there's many philosophies. The style that I was teaching, very heart-based. And the initial thing that you do with your students is really get them to connect with their heart. Open, the first thing we do in Anyasara, open to grace. I mean, whatever that you want it to mean to you, open to God, open to divine love, open to grace. It's the first thing that we do in Anyasara. And when I walked away from these Anyasara classes as a student, I thought, I feel amazing. My heart's open. I feel, it wasn't just a physical stretching, but there's something amazing that happened. I feel wonderful. And so after that, I decided to continue to teach that as well. So.
Wow. Well, I tell you what we're going to do, Greg, because that I want to pick up on a few points from that. We're going to go and have a break now. Maybe if you can just come in and out with your camera, and that will right itself. And Diego's going to put us into a lovely break. See you in a while. Stay here, everyone. We're here.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hi, and welcome back. Hi, Greg. Welcome back. You're moving. We have movement.
We have video. All right.
We do. We have video. Perfect. Thank you, Diego, for putting on that commercial break there. We are here on the Cosmic Prayer with Gregory Coyle, licensed practitioner, and many other things that you are, and that you share your gifts and your talents and your wisdom into the Norway Center for Spiritual Living community group that you are just beginning, and that's evolving in a really beautiful way. And also with Centers for Spiritual Living as chairman of Global Services Committee. And also, you know, you were on the global team for 2022 for Centers for Spiritual Living, which is a really powerful that's a really powerful give and share to actually be a part of that team that creates the themes for ministers to speak on, and for members and people to catch the vision of Centers for Spiritual Living. I'm just feel really blessed and honored to be with you, knowing that you are doing all this amazing work here in the community. And I wonder how prayer your idea of prayer right now today, how that influences your life.
Good question. So prayer for me, I think, you know, if we look at where I came from to where I am today, it has evolved, you know, also the understanding of what prayer is and what it's about. And I think, like anyone else, it's always nice to have reminders. So I'm very clear that I do read inspirational messages, whether it's, you know, something from Agape or CSL, you know, whether it's on Facebook or on Instagram. But it's really being reminded that, you know, the prayer is about, you know, start with gratitude, being gratitude. And maybe that's the only thing that I need to do, is just be in gratitude for the day. Whatever happens, just be in gratitude. Or maybe the prayer is that I just really need to get out of my own way, and let whatever's going to happen. And, you know, there may be that also that I am praying for someone's highest and best. And both as a practitioner and, of course, the person may be receiving prayer and or giving prayer. It's, you know, that there's always the reminder of that we're not trying to make something happen. You know, sometimes clients might ask us as practitioners, hey, I really want my husband or wife to do something, or be better, or be kinder, my parents, my siblings, my children, someone to do something or not do something. And it's like, okay, reminder. I have a coach, you know, and she was our leader for our practitioner studies, and she's been my coach since then. And so it's important, I think, anyone, wherever we are, to have that a connection to somewhere, to talk to people, whether it's a regular prayer partner, a coach, a practitioner, something like that. So, and when we talk and we pray, we discuss that, it's like, how am I or we getting out of our own way? So they just kind of just being really in the essence of what is happening, right or wrong, get out of the way even of calling it that, just letting it be as it is, and letting it show up. Because usually what happens, this says, I want something to happen, and if it doesn't happen the way that we want, then it ends up being, that's a bad. If it happens the way we want, then it's a good. And even the judgment of good or bad is like, okay, we get attached to that. And so if we can be unattached, and that's part of that essence of prayer is, maybe the prayer that I need to speak for myself is non-attachment to the outcome, and just whatever shows up, it's going to be okay. Because I know that whether it's a day later, a week later, a month, a year later, suddenly whatever it was, it's not as important, and or maybe looking back, that whatever happened was the right thing at the time, because suddenly something else has resulted of that. For instance, a lot of people perhaps have gone through this because of the pandemic, but it's like losing a job. And I remember, I was in San Francisco, and I had been in my first year practitioner studies and praying, and that's perhaps an interesting question. So I can bring that up now, is how did I get to Norway? Because people ask, how do you get to Norway? Did you want to go to Norway? I did not have Norway on my list. The only connection I have with, Norway was when, as a teenager in St. Louis, Missouri, I went to Parkway North High School, and our mascot was the Viking. So we had, the letter jackets of the like a Norwegian Viking or Danish Viking on it. And so that was, if you want, it's like a premonition of what was to come. But that was the only thing that was like Viking. I never thought about Viking. I was thinking I wanted to live in Southern Europe, because I had studied Spanish and French. And I thought this would make more sense for me to end up in the land, a country where I could get along and talk to people. But being a practitioner training, each of us are praying for each other. And that's another interesting point about prayer, is when we are praying for ourselves, often, and I speak from my own personal perspective, often it's a lot easier for me to pray and to really feel that energy and have no resistance in the prayer when I pray for someone else. That I can absolutely know for you, Laura, the highest and best. And I can, whatever it is that I just know that it's happening. Or for Diego, or for any of our, for Bonnie, that, and whoever is asking for the prayer, it's easy for us to know that for someone else. But when it comes to us, and this could be, a little bit of the Catholic, you want to do something for other people, but never ask for yourself. It could be a little bit about that. But I think in general, people tend to be a little bit more resistant to wanting something good for themselves. We feel like we're not necessarily deserving for ourselves, but we can share for others. And so when it gets to be that question of, what am I asking for myself? Then, now to the point I actually can ask for myself and feel good about that, because I realize that I'm not taking away from anyone else, that there is unlimited abundance and limited good. And whatever I'm asking for myself, it's not in a place of, this physical, necessarily whatever. It's more about something that is uplifting and life-giving and amazing, and somehow highest and best, not only for myself, but for all those around me, and perhaps even the planet at large.
Yes. And as you're saying that, I'm really, things are just ideas sparking for me, that when we're praying for demonstration for ourselves, it can be easier for others, because we don't have the backstory. when we're praying and knowing truth for others, it's like, this is a clean slate.
Yeah.
And when it's for ourselves, there's all these kind of ideas that then pop up. Oh, but that happened then, and that happened then, and
Correct.
It's not going to happen, because we bring the past into, and so the prayer becomes an opportunity for a total clearing, and that faith in the divine, that it's not even, I'm just saying the words, and with my faith in this, I can let go, I can let it happen.
Absolutely. So I was in practitioner first year studies with 4 beautiful women and our practitioner studies teacher. And, of course, we each have our prayer request for maybe the entire semester plus that week. And I was looking for an opportunity something to evolve. I had wanted to move to Europe to experience something different, to have, if you will, a life-changing experience that I could put myself into another environment and really see how would I survive and thrive in something different. Not my native language, not my native culture, etc. At the same time, some of my fellow students were asking for romance or asking for prosperity or asking for whatever. And during that time, it evolved with my job in the Bay Area that we had to reduce staff. And as I said to my boss, you and I are kind of on the top, so we need to reduce us as well. And so it ended up being a decision of the board that, we were all kind of basically would work for 9 months and then be laid off and get a bonus and, evolve the institution over to something else, to like a 2-man show. It was working for a nonprofit at the time. And so I thought, you know what, this is divine, inspiration or idea showing up. Suddenly it's like there's a time limit to how long I will be here in the city. So I can either, 1, get a new job, or 2, take it as the opportunity to move. But at that point, I also scheduled a trip. And then, as I said, I was trading for some opportunity, and that started to evolve itself. But at the same time, my fellow students who we were praying for as well, each of us were praying for them, was asking for romance. And so I took a trip to Europe. And then during that trip, I met my partner. We kept in touch and traveled back and forth. And, when my job ended, suddenly it was like, okay, well, I'm not moving to Southern Europe. I'm now moving to Northern Europe. And that's how I ended up in Norway. So
that is incredible. I love that. I love what you've there's so many pieces of that, your faith and your intuition to actually be a part of the change of your job and not to resist it. You didn't resist it. You were kind of being the solution, and the solution left you in a place of, oh my gosh, what's next? Many people would run from that. So
I would say thank you for that. And
yeah,
of course, I made the decision to do that, but I'm looking back now, it's hard for me to say that it just, popped up into my consciousness and I'm the one that, thought the original thought or came up with that. I would say that being in the community that I was and being in the practitioner studies, being around these amazing, beautiful beings that we're also praying for and with each other, being in that space, then suddenly there's this energy, this vibration of possibility.
right.
So if you do feel like you're kind of stuck in that, put yourself immediately into a group that has that energy, that space, so that suddenly it's expansive. And whatever you're thinking is, it's this limited idea of what might be possible, suddenly explodes open. And because there's other people just kind of creating possibility for you, contributing it. So
yes, that's so powerful. And I think such an amazing message to share here. Bonnie is also, agreeing with this, loving your sense of adventure. Do you feel that there's a divine order and flow to your life? And it feels like that there is, and you're kind of going, it's like that going with the flow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going with the flow and allowing it to unfold. But I really love what you've just said about, if you're feeling stuck, the power of being in community. And that's what we're all about here, isn't it? Having that connection rather than isolating ourselves, even now in this time of kind of our post-ish COVID. How do you think that in Norway that there is this kind of idea of, spirituality, bringing science of mind to Norway, and you really knowing the power of this teaching, how you can see your students' lives changing? I'm really excited to how you can build your community, continue to build your community in Norway. What part does prayer play in that for you?
I would say prayer is a big and important factor, of course. And I think, well, to kind of set it into perhaps a framework would be also, there is a difference between the way that, if you will, the community shows up in Europe or the way that community shows up in the US. There is, within the US is special around the world compared to the US. The US is special in terms of the amount of churches, the amount of Christian or faith-based religions in the US, the amount of percent of people that are active in religious practices in the US compared to other places. Most places they will, and especially here in Europe where it's got a long tradition of Christian-based, that, for example, Norway was pagan until 1005 AD, and then, one of the Viking kings came back and decided he had been to the UK, became a Christian, and so then it was, we're going to be Christian now, and if you don't like it, then you get your arm, your leg cut off so that everyone knows you're not a Christian. So of course, people became Christian. And it is a Christian country, like a lot of European countries. However, at the same time, there's not a large attendance at church, except for maybe Christmas Eve, baptisms, births, memorials, weddings, etc. But other than that, it's very low populated, low attendance. And so my experience was in the US because people are used to going to church and it seems like a normal part of, are you going to church? Yeah or no. There might be a few people that weren't interested, but in general, people head to church. So inviting them to a service was a little bit more like kind of, not unknown. Whereas here, people would be like a little bit kind of confused, like service. I haven't gotten a service in, 30 years or 40 years. I only go at Christmas time or, baptism. So it's really looking at that in terms of the format of what we want to present. So, the teaching here that we do, it's more about presenting things in a way that, as you said, prayer, and reframing it in a way that is like really just getting to people into the mindset of, beyond, out of the spirituality, out of the dogma, but into something else, a spiritual practice that they can do. And what I've introduced through that is I've introduced visioning as a practice. Right. So then there's meditation, and there's also, getting it in a glimpse of, spirit's idea. And I use the word spirit or God or divine intelligence. And I say that. And so that people can hear that. And some, I don't know anyone that reacts negatively, but they get that there's something, that the idea is that it's something beyond just what's up in here and up in the noodle. Yeah. They actually want to expand to something greater. And of course, the follow-up to that is then there is a prayer, that there is prayer treatment for each other, that we're holding each other in that consciousness of like just knowing. And so teaching and get away from what might be traditionally taught as prayers, you're going to memorize some words, to getting to the feeling tone of get into the flow of that there's non-resistance and whatever that is that I'm imagining up in my mind, that I can really feel it. Whether it's radiant health, vibrant abundance, or divine right livelihood, that there's an attachment to actually a specific outcome, that instead it's more about a feeling that, okay, I'm open to something happening. And, linked with that is also that non-attachment to the outcome, which is really important, because so often it's like, yes, but I've been praying for that. It's like, well, something else showed up. So, are you willing to take what you asked for something? And, if you're too specific, you limit the good, and it might be something actually better than what you wanted if you're willing to be a little bit flexible and a little bit open. You'd ask, and Bonnie had commented about, in terms of open to grace and really being kind of in the flow of life. Yes, in general, I would say there are times that I've probably been a little bit closed and contracted, thinking, no, I need to sort this out. I need to figure it out. And then again, coming back to my spiritual community or talking with my coach and sitting and visioning about, okay, really, what is it about that? Really getting clear, like whether it's, my spiritual community here, what is wanting to show up through me, through the spiritual community? How can I outpicture that? And it may be as simple as the meditation class that I offer that week to yoga students, that, to get them into the space of just being open to something, and eventually maybe then talking about some type of prayer. But it's not trying to force them to do anything, and it's really meeting people where they are, students where they are, whether it's on the mat or on the meditation cushion or in a practitioner counseling session. So
wow. And you are the demonstration. You're the living demonstration of this, because you did come, you came to Norway, you went to Norway, allowing spirit to show you what the demonstration of your prayer is, and you followed that. And that's really beautiful, because you're making your life there now with your partner and your business, and you're like, it is possible. You're doing it. Such an amazing example for others, to show others that this is happening for you because of your allowing and accepting of that knowing of that unlimited. When we're living from that place of the unlimited, the infinite, our life then becomes so, it's like an adventure. It's amazing. I think Bonnie said that, loving your sense of adventure, tapping into that. And so I want to ask you in the last few minutes here that we have, how you can, for people that are listening, hello and welcome here. We're on the Cosmic Prayer with Gregory Coyle, licensed spiritual religious practitioner. And we're talking about prayer and Gregory's amazing work from Norway, but it's very global based. You're a global citizen, aren't you, Gregory?
I am a global citizen,
You
yes.
really are. And I know that everything you're doing for Centers for Spiritual Living has the global stamp on it. In fact, you're coming to America, aren't you? I say coming as if I'm there. I'm not there. I'm in the UK. You're going to America. Yeah.
Joining us probably. I will be there next week at the CSL convention in Palm Springs from the 18th to the 21st. Yes.
And you're going to, and you have some very special offerings that you're going to be giving at the convention.
Correct.
A beautiful yoga class. That's just, is that going to be live streamed?
I am not sure. I hope so. But it will be offered at the convention, and it's possible that there will be a live streaming of that.
Fantastic. And you're also going to be giving a talk and a presentation at the conference also. So what do you know what that topic is going to be?
I do. It's a power talk called the Power Talk, and it's not going to be as long as, of course, our interview, but it will be perhaps those viewers here today get the opportunity to get more background than what I've been able to say in 15 or 20 minutes. But the Power Talk will be, is in essence what I was asked to talk about is kind of about Norway, what brought me to Norway, and or what do I do there in terms of the spiritual practice. And my talk is So fullt av ja, which is Norwegian for so full of yes. And the idea that it's a song by a pop artist here. And the idea is that, there's this something that just says yes. And, can we say yes? Can we accept it? Can we agree with that yes, the yes within us? And are we willing to kind of go for it? You mentioned the sense of adventure. That is an important key, I think, in terms of my life. I grew up with adventurous parents, conservative, but adventurous. And if you're willing to step outside of the safety net that you have, your comfort zone, if you're willing to just step out a little bit, suddenly you discover how wonderful suddenly that expanded experience is. Now, I did, of course, a couple steps out. You don't have to do that. You don't have to move abroad to have the same experience. But be willing to do something and take a chance, and kind of what's the worst that could happen? And that's kind of the way I had looked at it. And I remember my parents asking me, are you sure you want to move to Norway? And then my father said, well, if it doesn't work out for you, then you come back here. That's how it is. And I thought, you know what? That's exactly what I needed to hear. That what's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen? And I'm sure that your mother must have known that, because your mother was the one that took you to yoga all those years ago when you were a young child. And so her idea for you was kind of seeded in that, go and explore, go and explore. And it's so beautiful that yoga, here you are as a yoga teacher. And this like has the beautiful golden thread of your mother in there. Yeah, really powerful. And so I'd like to offer you this opportunity before we say a prayer together on your final words here, Greg. For those that are listening right now and feeling, oh, I feel a bit stuck in my life. I mean, I know you've just answered that to some degree, a bit stuck, and I'm just, not really feeling that that faith to take that leap or to do that thing or to make that phone call or to look for something else for my work. What is it that you could offer right now as or maybe as an introduction for how to pray, how to put that into a prayer for somebody to really gain that, open up their consciousness and expand their yes?
Well, yes, just the word yes. I remember doing an event. It's something that Neil Donald Walsh had published 10, 15 years ago. And I posted it here. There's a film and everything else. And it was the power of yes, but also using the word in Japanese, hai. So whether, in this case, Norwegian ya, and maybe you just find a simple word that yes or ya or si, something that works that you can really feel that yes in your own essence, and you can say it powerfully and just repeat it a number of times. Wake up in the morning and say yes. Put your arms up and yes, yeah.
Yes. Yes, yeah.
Today is it's going to be something special. Yes. I don't have to call it good or bad, but something special, something different than it was yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really simple. It's like we can all do that, can't we?
Yeah.
Just
look in the mirror, raise your arm, say yes.
Yes. We're saying yes here on the Cosmic Prayer.
And of course, there is an energy when you're putting your arms up and you're smiling and you're raising your vibration. So yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes,
lifting the whole thing. Yes, Bonnie. Raising up and saying yes and being open. Because so often especially when we see our lives and what's going on and we think we can't control, well, we can't control this stuff that's going on. We can control how we're thinking and feeling though, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. How we respond to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. How we respond to it. Wow.
And that's important that you say that. Yeah. Thank you. Because that's the important key of that is like, really, how are we responding to that? Can we say yes? Okay. Yes. I may not like it, but yes, because this is going to change. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent.
Right.
Even the permanent is not permanent.
Right.
So the divine is constantly evolving and changing, and spirit is constantly flowing. Whatever is manifesting for us in our lives is constantly changing. And our interests, what we like, what we want is also will change over time. So.
Yes, thank you so much, Gregory, for being here, for being so present and just sharing from your heart. And I'm excited. I'm not going to the conference, but I'm sure we'll get a snapshot at some point of what you're doing. And I know that your work is so powerful. Everything you're doing for Centers for Spiritual Living, and that you're bringing this teaching in your way, in this beautiful, unique way, to those in your center, in your community. And thank you for being here on the Cosmic Prayer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. If you would like, we can share a prayer right now to kind of come away from so we'll share a prayer. And before we do that, I'd just like to say a shout out to everybody that's watching and viewing and listening. You're here on the Cosmic Prayer. I'm Laura. This is Greg Coyle. And Greg if you've only just joined us, you can go back and watch from the beginning, because Greg is amazing and he has a lot that he shared here in the last 50 minutes. New Thought Media Network is a focus ministry, Center for Spiritual Living focus ministry. And there is the website. Thank you, Diego. The wonderful Diego is our producer, coming on every week to help, and not just help, but to actually make this happen technically and in all sorts of wonderful ways. So thank you, Diego, for everything that you're doing here for the network and for the Cosmic Prayer. And if you like the Cosmic Prayer, there we go. There is our New Thought Media Network, and you want to be woven into this network, then there is a big donate button there. You can see it on the website. And as you donate your treasure, your finances, all of your donations allow this network to thrive and reach its own fulfillment of its own evolution and expansion. So there you go, newthoughtmedianetwork.org. And we're going to pray right now. What is in your heart, Greg, to pray in the knowing of right now?
I think, we've talked about this offline, but I think what is within, that I would like to pray for is that there's a sense of grace and calm and trust going on in the world with the whole health condition, with COVID, around the world, and uncertainty, that let's move out of that space of fear and getting away from what the media wants you to believe or hear, let go of that and just getting this space that, that God has our back, and that whatever it is, that we will ride through this, and that there really is something happening for us as we support each other, as we really trust and just believe that, and again, saying yes, we can say yes, we can go get vaccines, we can take care of ourselves, we can wear masks, we can say yes, and there's still that opportunity to be in that space of grace and love and calm.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that idea of grace. Wow. So shall I begin? And yes, I'd like to do that. Let's close our eyes. And I'm inviting you, if you're watching right now in real time or later on at any point, if it's okay for you and you're not distracted in any way, to close your eyes, then please join us with me and Gregory as we know this truth. Because I know that as we take a breath together, this breath is the breath of the divine that is breathing through everything. It is the light, the love, the joy, the omnipresence, the omniscience, the omnipotent. It is all powerful. It is the idea of this life. From the vastness of the multiverses and beyond, and all the way to the tiniest living quantum molecule and everything in between. This is what I know as God. This creation that I am living in and having my being in. And this God is breathing in and as and through me, as I know that I am one with this one. And as I know that I am one with this one, so is Gregory. So is Diego. So is everybody that is listening and watching, and everybody that isn't. And every sentient being, we are one with this one. And I'm so grateful for this. I'm going to pass this over to Gregory now.
And as I add to this word, I just simply know for us that there is a sense of calm. For in the divine, there is just calm. There is grace. This energy, like the calmness of a lake on a summer day. And so as we just allow this energy of calm to saturate each and every one of us, our essence, we connect with the divine. This feeling tone of calm, of ease, of grace, of love. I know for us that there is absolutely the highest and best for us, each and every one of us. That beyond this particular appearance of COVID, of any type of issues, health or otherwise, the divine is in, through, and as all of us and everything. And so absolutely, I just know for us that we are surrounded, supported, and uplifted by love. 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 And so I say yes. And if you like, you can join me by saying it to yourself, yes. Yes, we are love. And as we raise our vibration, anything other than love just simply disappears. And as we raise our vibration, we raise the vibration of those around us. As we set this intention for grace, for love, for joy, for peace and calm, we bless each other in this entire planet. For all of this and so much more, I'm grateful. Grateful that God is always giving, is gracious, that God is love, that God is love through each and every one of us. And so as we release this word into the law, just simply know that it is already done, that this vibration of love, of grace, of joy flows through each of us now. Please join with me in saying, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Until next time. Bye.
Namaste.
Thank
Love
you
and
for
love.
listening to Cosmic Prayer, your weekly shift with Laura Topper on the New Thought Media Network. If you've enjoyed this programming, please tell a friend and join us again next week for Cosmic Prayer, your weekly shift with Laura Topper.